Hi all. In this session, we are going to cover CSS3. We need to, here in this session, we will cover the introduction and the basic concepts and the box model, styling text and backgrounds. And these layouts and transition will cover in the next part. Now, as I said earlier, CSS is used for the styling the HTML pages. Without CSS, HTML page won't looks good. So then how to write CSS? We can write CSS in three ways. One is we can write the CSS directly in the inline of an element, that is called inline CSS. If we write our CSS in the same HTML page, that is called internal CSS. And if you write the CSS in the another file, like in the external CSS, our HTML file will be different and CSS file will be different. That is called external CSS. So I will demonstrate that part now. Let me open my VS Code. So first of all, you create one folder for the create one folder, and that create one file with the extension .html. And if we quickly recap the earlier session of HTML, as I said, like in the HTML follows certain structure where everything will be wrapped under HTML tag. Inside HTML, we have head and the body. In the head section, we will keep the meta tags and the title tags and the some external CSS if you want to link up. Those all things will be kept under head section. Now, let me change this title now. So, in the body part now I will write h1 tag welcome. Now, as I said like that, there are three ways we can add the CSS to an HTML page. One is like inline CSS, and second one is internal CSS, and third one is external CSS. First, we will look at how inline CSS will be added. Inline CSS means directly we will add CSS to the HTML element itself. Like if I want to change the color of this element, we will just write the style attribute inside the h1 starting tag, not in the closing tag, only in the starting tag, and the color. I want green, suppose green color. For me, why it is coming go live means I have in the marketplace I have installed the live server. That's why I can able to then VS Code directly gives me the server. So if you don't install that part, you need to manually open this HTML file in the browser. So to work in a easy way, just go and install the live server from the VS Code Exchange. H1 tag, it comes in the green color. This is called inline CSS. Now I will remove this inline and add in the internal part. Internal CSS means where we will write internal CSS in the head section. We will write in the head section. Just keep the style here. Now look at this one opening and closing tag came when I type style. Inside that style, we need to select this H1 element. We need to tell that for H1 element, I need green color. Yeah, now applied. We can also apply red. Yeah. Okay, then now comes when we go for the inline CSS and when we go for the internal CSS. Inline CSS means whenever we want to apply CSS to that particular element only, we will go with the inline CSS. And coming to internal CSS is like whenever we want, suppose I have another H1 tag here. Welcome to SH Techno. Now, if I want this color red to apply to both H1 tag, I should write in the inline part. If I write in the inline, then a red color only appear to H1 tag itself. This tag won't affect that. Let me show that. Let me comment this once. And here style equal to green. No, sorry. Style equal to color green. See, first H1 tag became green and second H1 tag is in black color itself. So if I remove this and I'm uncommenting this, now see the difference. Both H1 tag gets the red color. Now we will add external CSS file. When we go for external CSS means external CSS it will be mainly used whenever we want reusability. Suppose we have 10 HTML pages. For the 10 HTML pages, there will be some common parts, common sections. To apply styling for all the pages, we won't write 10 times. We will write in one file and include that file to all the HTML pages. So let's create one CSS file now with the extension .css. Now, now next step is we need to include this index.css to index.html. How can we do that? With the help of link tag. With the link tag, now our rel attribute it is a style sheet. This link is for the style sheet, and this is for this href attribute is for to specify the path. Currently, my CSS file and HTML file are in both are in the same location. So dot indicates that the CSS it is now we are telling to our HTML file where is our CSS file. So dot indicates that it is in the current folder only. Both HTML and CSS are in current folder only. So we are including that. Now suppose let me create another folder, and inside this folder I will create another CSS file. Now if I want to add the CSS which is inside the dummy folder, how can I do that? Now we are in the index.css. Now in the current folder there is dummy folder. Inside dummy folder there is 2.css. Okay. Now if inside the dummy folder I have one HTML page, suppose 2.html page. Observe this. Inside dummy folder, I have 2.css and 2.html. Now this 2.html wants this index.css. How can I do that? This is very important because adding the paths, uh, most of the time it is confusing. Whenever we have the big folder structures, we need to be very careful in the path. Otherwise, we won't get to know where it is the error. Now, now I'm in the 2.html. I want to link index.css file to this 2.html. How can I do that? Now I need to come out of the dummy folder. I need to come out of the dummy folder and come to index.css. To do that, I think most of you know in the terminal what we do. Whenever we want to come to parent folder, we just cd change directory double dots, just like that. Do double dots and slash. Now we came just out of the dummy folder, and now index.css is visible to us. This is how we link up the file. Now we have successfully added our index.css file to index.html page. Now inside this index.css, I want to style the h1 tag now. Let me close this. H1 color green. See, now color becomes green. So our next topic is selectors. How many ways we can select in CSS part whenever we want to apply CSS to HTML? How many ways we can select the HTML elements and apply the CSS to that? There are 6 ways: selecting by element, selecting by class, selecting by ID, attribute, pseudo clauses, and pseudo elements. Let's go one by one. This is called selecting by elements because H1 is an element, so that is called selecting by elements. So inside this, we are selecting the p tag, selecting by an element. See this, we have selected by an element. Now I will add one class to it. Class equal to service. So how can I now? How can I style this p? Now I don't want to select by element. Element is p. I want to select this element based on the class. How can I do that? Here class name is service. To style an element based on the class, if it is the class, we use the dot. Remember, if it is the class, we use the dot and take this name. Take this name, service, color, red. Look at this. Now, if I want to style this element by ID, not by class, I will keep one ID attribute. Let me give ID as whatever. Suppose give one. No issue. If you want to add the styling based on the ID, How can we do that? For ID we use hash. If we want to style based on the class, we use dot. If we want to style the based on ID, we use hash one, hash one, color red, color red. Yeah, see this. But what is the disadvantage of using ID means? Suppose now now I want same style for this also. For this p tag and this p tag, I want same styling. Now what I did, I have styled based on using the ID attribute. I can't give same ID to another element. There is no error, but as a standard of practice, we should give different IDs. I can't give same ID. ID should be unique. But what we can do is like instead of that, we use the class. We can give the same class, and if we do that, we can select style based on the class name. Then we can apply same styling to any number of elements. Suppose if you keep here unordered list, now if you give the class same class as service, then this also becomes red. See here, become red because we have used the class name. That class is colored with red. That styling will be applied. Okay, and next one is now one thing. Suppose if I give service color green, can you guess which will apply? Whether this red will apply or green will apply? Yes, green will apply, not the red, because in the CSS, whatever as it executes, first it will apply red. Later again, this green color will override the red color. If I remove this, it will be red only. See here, it is overriding that. If if suppose now let me in the internal CSS, I'll use dot service color as blue. Now guess, now for the same service class, we have red color, green color, and blue color. Which color will get applied? Either blue, green, red. The answer is blue because see, answer is blue because always internal CSS will take precedency over this external CSS. Even if you write this, internal CSS will takes the precedency. Now now it is in the link external CSS is in the line number 7. Let me keep this under the line number 13. What will happen? Let me check what will happen. Green color. Green color. If I keep this above, it is this precedency also very important. If I do this in internal, this inline CSS will have higher precedency. I'm writing here inline, I'm repeating my words, inline CSS with having higher precedency, then comes the internal CSS, then comes the external CSS. This is the precedency. Inline, internal, and then external. This is the precedency. Now we have completed by element, by class, by ID. Now let's look into by attribute. Suppose if I want to apply CSS based on the attribute, here href is attribute, right? Now, what should I do now? A tag. We need to select based on the href attribute, color, red. See here, it becomes red. If we remove this, what will be the color? It is in the blue color. This way of styling is called, if we style based on the attribute, that type of selection is called selecting the element by attribute. We have completed this also. Pseudo classes. Now, now I have this p tag. Now let me do this here. Dot service hover. Pseudo classes, how we will write? We'll keep colon, and this is the pseudo class. Hover is the pseudo class. Now earlier color is green, right? Now what should happen when someone hover on p tag? It should change to blue color. So see here, whenever we hover, it is changing to, it is changing. Most of the time, these pseudo classes will be applied to buttons, but button parts. Like if you keep the input type equal to submit and gives class name as the submit button, and let me apply CSS to this background color. I want to, this background color property will help us to keep the to add background to a button. Suppose now I want to add blue color to my submit button. See now the button is in the blue color. If we want to change the text color, what we should do? Color as white, whatever the color. See now it comes here. Now if I want to change that, now if I hover on button, nothing is happening, right? Now if I want to change that color, whenever mouse enters on that, what should I do? I should add pseudo class. How to add pseudo class? by using colon and the hover. Now I need to change my background color whenever hover to green color. See now, changed. Not only that, guys, we can also increase or decrease the size whenever we want. Whenever we hover on that, we can increase or decrease the button size. Like there is one property called scale. Currently, scale is one here. The scale is one here. Whenever we hover on that button, if we want to decrease the size of that button, by default it will be 1. Just add 0.95 something. See, it is coming pressing like a pressing effect. If I increase this size, it will project outside. See, it is coming upwards. It is increasing the size. This scale will help to do that effect. And what else remaining in our selectors? Pseudo elements. Now, if I want to, now in this body, we have two p tags. If we want to apply to first one, pseudo element, what we can do? Most of the time, we won't use this select the elements by using pseudo elements, but just for the sake, I am telling. Yeah, we will use most of the time after and before pseudo elements. First line. Color to yellow. Yeah, India. Okay, let me do one thing. Now, say this. Let me copy some content, dummy content from online. I think it is enough. Yeah, if I paste that here. See, it is applying only to first line because we have used the pseudo element of first line. For the first line, it will add yellow color, and for the remaining, it will add blue color. I think you got it, right? I think we have covered the how many ways we can add the selectors. And coming to properties, we have covered the color property, we have covered the background and the font border. Yeah, these are the simple topics we'll cover now. Now, let me remove all these. See now, see the font. If I want to change the font color. How can I do that? What we need to do exactly? Yeah, font, right? Yeah, in the font, we have font size, font family, font weight. Suppose now I'll keep 700. You got any change? Keep 800. There is no effect, right? Instead of that, use font size. We keep 800. It is not changing. Font weight. Yeah, it gets bold. Margin. Margin and padding. Yeah, I will cover margin and padding in the next concept called, yeah, box shadow. For now, I will cover box shadow. Box shadow is like, for this p tag, let me give some background color. Background color as this bees. See, now background color is applied. What if I want box shadow? If I want to apply box shadow, what it just gives the shadow effect, something like a shadow effect. If I want shadow effect in the x-axis, we need to mention in first, in the box shadow, it will take three values. First value will take on the x-axis, second value will take on the y-axis, and this is called spreading, shadow spreading on all the sides. Suppose if we want to shadow on the x-axis part and keep y-axis and the spreading as 0 and keep shadow color as black. Yeah, see, shadow comes on the x-axis side. We keep this as 0 pixel and apply here. Shadow comes on the y-axis side. By default, if we give the positive values, it will come on the right side and the bottom side. What if we want to get shadow on the upper side, just give negative values. If you give negative values, it will go, happening is like these two are two p tags, right? For this p tag, it is applying on the top side. For this p tag, it is applying on the top side. Now, in the same now look at this. Now there is no padding here. If I apply padding of 10 pixels, what will happen? See, a space is came, right. I will give 20 pixels. More space is coming, top, bottom, left, right. Now, how this padding and margin work is like, it takes four attributes, just like a clock. First attribute comes on the top. If you want to padding on top side, I want top side 10 pixels, right side. Then as a clock moves on the clockwise direction, then comes the next right side, top after right, 20 pixels, after right, bottom. Whatever we keep here the value, it will applies to bottom. again 20 pixel. Now left side, this is top side and this is the left side. See, our lens are changing now. Margin is like, currently there is, if you want to keep element to element space, margin, just like a margin, increase the distance between one element to another element, just add the margin tag. Here also, margin will accept if you want to specify, like specific, give top, use margin top. If you want to give margin bottom, use margin bottom. If you want to apply margin to all sides, top, bottom, left, right, just use margin and give 10 pixels. Then these 10 pixels will get supplied to top side, left side, right, bottom, all the four side it will get supplied. See now, gap is 30 pixels on the right, left. How can you see this? Just inspect this. Whenever you are doing CSS, but that CSS is not, if you want to inspect that, go to inspect tag. See here, this is called box model. We will cover that. See, margin of 30 pixels. This is our content width and height, guys. And this is how, as I said, top, just like a clock, top, then right, then bottom, again left, then border. We haven't given any border, right? That's why border is in left. Even we can do here values. See now, it will affect, and the margin of 30. I think we covered this. Yeah, border radius. Border radius is very nice because now see, we have sharp edges. Edges are sharp. So if we apply border radius 5 pixels, see now the edges become curvy nature came, right? If we add more border radius, see how it is. The sharpness gets reduced. Let me give 50 pixels. What will happen? The more curvy nature came. Most of the time, to beautify our elements, border radius and box shadow will be very helpful. These elements. Next comes the box model. As I explained, just by inspecting this, same this one and this one both are same, guys. See, look at this. This is our content width and height. Now currently we are in the, just select this P class. What is the content width? 577 into, it is height. Let me, yeah, now it is. See, just this is the content and this is the padding of 10 pixels, and this is the margin. Margin helps to keep space between one element to another element. This is called box model. So what we do now is, right, we'll create a one simple div. Div is just a division tag, right? Like if you want to keep keep sections, we can use div tag. There is no any use of like div tag won't use for one function, like it is for the segregating purpose, wrapping purpose, division. Suppose now if you observe, there is nothing. We have added the div, but there is nothing on the screen. But just give background color of, yeah, barley. See, even now there is nothing came. But if we add width of whatever width we give, 200 pixels, and give me height also, height of 200 pixels. See now we have created one box whose width is 200 pixels and height is 200 pixels, and whose background is burly wood. And now the edges are very sharp. Now I want to use border radius of 10 pixels. See now how the border radius it is. Now if I observe, Google and submit button are very nearer to me. There is no margin on the top. Now I want to apply margin top of 10 pixels. See, a margin gets appeared. Let me inspect this once more. Yeah, first. If you look at this, we have given the width of 200 and height of 200. That's why that is that height. It is showing here. This is called box model. What is the use of padding means? Like, suppose inside this div tag, I'll write my name. So look at this. This name came on very top to the box. There is no space between there is no space, right? If I give padding, padding on all sides. If I want to keep my name center. What is the width of our box? 200 pixels. If I give padding as 50 pixels, then 50 on top, 50 on, this will apply on all sides, guys. Because if you specifically mention padding on top, it gets affected on top. If you specifically mention padding on bottom, it will affect on bottom. But if you write padding of 50 pixels, it gets applied in all the directions. Top, bottom, left, right. It gets applied in all the directions. Total how much? See. Now, if you observe, our box height is also, our box width and height get also affected. See, padding we have applied 50 pixels. That's what it is showing here. Now, box sizing, border box. Now, if I remove this, it is our box width and height are changing. Why this behavior is coming? Any guess? See now, box size and width are. If I change by default, box sizing will be in the box sizing property will be on content box. By default, this property will be applied because we said our content should be of width 200, 200, width of 200, height of 200. It will be maintained at any cost. This width and height will be maintained, and this will gets added to that. But when we apply box sizing as border box, whatever in the whatever width and height we have, in that width and height only these margin and padding gets applied. Yeah. See now we have total of 200, right? We have given width of 200 into 200. But what it came here 100, 100, top 50, bottom 50, total become 200. Same on the right and left, 100, 50 plus 50, 200. This is for box sizing border box. If I change to content box instead of border box, what will happen? Now look at here. Whatever width and height we mentioned here, it will be there only. 200, it will at any cost it will be maintained. Apart from that, whatever padding and margin we given, it will be added. So at that time, our box size is 200 plus top side 50, bottom side 50, total 300 plus margin on top 310 pixels. Now, if our box size is 310 pixel, our box height is 310 pixels height. Even though you have given 200 pixels only height, but it becomes 310 because padding on the top side 50, padding on bottom side 50, 100, 100 plus 200, 300, margin on top become 10 pixels. It is by default behavior. Even if you write or not, it gets applied. But if you change this to border box, then whatever the height and width you specified in that only, it gets added. I think I have clearly explained this box model concept. It is very, very important. That's why I have taken a long time to explain this. Next one is like styling text and the text properties. Now inside our p tag, we have given paragraph, right? If we want to change the font family to many of you know Times New Roman. If I want to change that to Times New Roman, now it is in the Times New Roman. Instead of that, I want Lucida format or else Arial. Where is Lucida? Yeah, here it is Lucida. Yeah, see here our font is changing. If I want to increase font height of the font, use font height. It is not coming here. Yeah, sorry, not font height, line height, right? My mistake. Line height of suppose you 22 pixels. Let me change here to 32 pixels. Yeah, see now line height of 32 pixels came, and each there is space applied here. And what else we have used? The font weight, font style, font size, line height. Yeah, text decoration. It is very, very important again. By default, whenever we have, see here, our anchor tag is in the, we have underscore here. For anchor tag, by default, underscore will come. If we want to change that, keep a tag and text decoration as none. See now, underline behavior change. Underline behavior is underline with vanished. Now, now suppose, see here, for the list type, we have dot symbol, right? I don't want dot symbol. For that, if we want to change that property, we will list style type. This property we can change whether we want in the circle, what style type, list style type. I don't none. I don't want any style. See now the dot symbol gets removed. That's all, guys. Thank you for session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ganesh Garu.